Good day, everyone. Richard Cowperthwait for Northwest Access TV. Thanks for joining us as we get ever closer to the March 5th Vermont Town Meeting Day. Always a big day in Vermont. And happy to have alongside today Sharon Bousquet, the Highgate Town Administrator. Sharon, good day to you.
Good morning.
And, boy, town meeting, again, I should know we're taping this show on Tuesday, February 20th, Town Meeting Day, and even 2 weeks from today.
Yes.
Not far away.
Not far at all.
And that's mostly what we'll be talking on. I want to start with something else. I might have heard a reference to this yesterday, and I wake up to the WVMT folks on radio in the morning, and they were giving quite a bit of attention today to, I guess, a front-page New York Post story yesterday, articles. Did you hear about this? New York Post being kind of the conservative Bible. But anyway, the paper in New York. But I guess the whole front page was they focus on the northern border.
Yes, on the immigration.
Did you hear about that?
I didn't. I saw a brief glimpse of that this morning as I was looking at my email. Someone had sent me that article.
Interesting. Yeah, they read some of the articles, but I guess, talking to a lot of folks in the Swanton, Alberg, maybe some Highgaters too, but interesting. But I guess that sounds like the northern border is more of an issue. You hear so much, obviously, about the horror show on the southern border. You're running into, even anecdotally, folks in Highgate coming across, folks sneaking across the border?
Yeah, quite a bit, actually.
Quite a bit.
Yeah, really? Our Public Works Department actually has found several groups of immigrants asleep in the park.
In the park?
That's next to the municipal building,
Really?
yes.
Wow.
It seems that they walk that far and then they wait for the store to open.
Really?
And offer money to people to give them rides.
Is that right? Interesting. So that definitely has come up.
Yes.
Sounds like the last year or two has gotten pretty active on that front.
It has. The Swanton sector has put out numbers. Started out as 400% increase.
Yeah, I guess I've seen some of that. Huge increase.
I was reading something the other day that said it's over 700% increase of illegal immigrants coming across.
And the Swanton sector, of course, has a lot of jurisdiction. All of Vermont, of course, New Hampshire, and a hunk of New York. A lot of border.
Yeah.
But interesting. That sounds like that's become an issue. I love one of the references in the story was, I guess, the folks coming across got the word on deer season up here, and supposedly there was a lot less activity during deer season. I think there was even a story or two about deer hunters up in their trees, seeing folks, not even noticing them as they snuck across the border. But anyway, not a significant issue, I guess.
Yeah, it's amazing. You would think that once they reach Canada, that would be a good place to stay, but it doesn't seem to be. It seems that they want to come into the U.S.
Interesting. So an interesting town meeting day for you coming up, Sharon.
Yes, we have a lot on the ballot.
A lot on the ballot, and kind of a different role for you. You've been a select board member, indeed the chair, last town meeting or two or three, and now you're the town administrator. So a little different role for you, huh?
It will be a big difference for me. Usually I'm the one answering all the questions, and now I'll have to sit back and do more listening.
More listening. I suspect you still may well get some questions thrown your way, but a different role. So no contests in Highgate, and in fact one select board seat that nobody filed for.
Correct. Yes. So we could still have a write-in campaign, but at this point, no.
Are you hearing any rumblings about a write-in campaign for that seat?
Not yet. No.
Not yet. And how many write-in votes would it take?
I think 25.
That sounds about right.
Yep.
And that's a select board seat for a term of 1 year remaining on a 3-year term?
Yes.
And then we've got Mary Souza, who's an incumbent.
Correct.
And she's, that is a she.
Yes.
Assume, going for 1 year remaining on a 2-year term. Select board member. Kyle Lothian, and in his case, for a term of 1 year remaining on a 3-year term. Mm-hmm. And then Vernon Brodsky III running for re-election for a 3-year term. Boy, so a lot of turnover on the board.
Yes.
Same with Swanton, maybe a lot of other towns, but Swanton and Highgate come right to mind.
Yeah. No, it is, and it's hard
That's tough.
to.
That doesn't make things easier for the town and stuff.
No, but most of our turnover was odds and ends things, like my moving to the town administrator, of course, left the seat open.
Yeah, right.
And that Kyle Lothian had filled that seat, so.
Okay.
And then we had a couple of people that had chosen to get off the select board, either from physically moving out of town or for other personal reasons, so.
Yeah.
We've had a strong group of select board, so we've been fortunate to continue to manage the business of the town and keep going in a straight, conservative, hopefully smart growth pattern.
Yeah. A big issue, this issue came up at last year's town meeting, and it was tabled and back again. It's certainly a big issue whether voters want to go to the Australian ballot for basically for everything.
Yes.
And again, that was tabled a year ago.
Yeah, it's been tabled actually several years in a row.
So that had come up before.
Yes. There's an issue of tradition, of course. There are those people that like to have the vote on the floor.
Myself included, as a
Yep.
non-Highgate resident, but for just covering stuff for Northwest Access for our kind
Yep.
of best coverage area. That's the one kind of traditional town meeting I get to deal with.
Yeah, and a lot of people also think that those people that are voting from the floor are more informed.
Yeah.
You know, they've taken more time to learn the issues and learn the pros and cons.
Yeah,
But there's an issue of equity, because last year our town meeting had 68 people.
60, that's about what I think of with the Highgate Town meeting.
Yeah, and we have
And the checklist is
we have 2,700
2,700? Wow,
registered voters, so that's a lot of people that don't get a say,
yeah,
which that's not really fair either.
yeah,
You know, some people can't afford to take the day off from work, or are not allowed to take the day off from work.
yeah,
Some people, you know, feel that their voice doesn't matter,
yeah,
that why bother to vote, why bother to take the day off, what I say doesn't matter, but that's not true.
yeah,
In a small town especially, your voice does matter.
yeah,
I mean, what you think and what you say matters.
yeah,
We've tried this year to do 2 information meetings with food,
really. Good
to try to entice people to come and get educated before town meeting,
Yeah,
to show them that town meeting isn't just the only place you can come and visit with your neighbors on a certain day, to come and talk about the topics, to show you that, you know, we can still have that, but also allow the other, you know, 2,640 people to
Yeah.
come out and have a voice for the millions of dollars that are spent.
yeah. And clearly, if you did go to the Australian ballot, clearly that's definitely going to kick up turn. You're obviously going to kick up turn. You get more people voting.
Yes. What happened during COVID when we all had to go to ballot,
Right.
we had anywhere from 400 to 500 voters.
Voting on town meeting day issues.
Yes.
Wow.
So that's a big increase for us,
Yeah.
from 68 to 400, 500. That's a
Yeah.
big increase.
Yeah, of course, the beauty, or one of the things about the traditional town meeting, obviously, you can, if folks aren't happy with the budget, say, you can talk about it and come back with an amended
Yes.
version instead of having to wait for another vote down the road.
Yes, and I see both sides of the
Yeah, they're
the coin.
two sides.
I mean, we do have a lot of people in town that do take an avid interest in what's happening.
Yeah,
I'm very grateful for that. A lot of places you don't see that.
yeah,
We have fabulous volunteers, people who want to make their town a better place to live and a better place to raise their children.
yeah,
And I think that's fantastic.
yeah. So you said 68 people at last year's town meeting, and again, I caught some of that. That was down maybe a bit from recent years with the traditional, or?
Yeah, it was down a little. Of course, that was the first town meeting we'd had since
post-COVID.
COVID, yeah.
Okay.
So I'm sure there were some people that were still uncomfortable in a large
Yeah.
meeting setting.
Yeah.
But yeah, we don't normally have over 100 people come to town meeting anyway.
Yeah, and no reason to expect anything different this year, even with some certainly big
Well,
issues.
I think we will get some additional interest.
With the cathedral, we'll talk about this at length later, but the Cathedral
Yes.
Square issue, couple village core issues, so that may
Yes.
kick attendance up a bit.
Yeah. And I think we'll get more voters also because of the cannabis issue that's on the
Okay.
actual ballot.
Good point, another issue that'll,
Right, that
um,
would spark some controversy and people will want to make sure that they are heard.
yeah, and that issue came on via a petition, there was a petition?
Correct. We have a resident that was looking to start a cannabis retail business, and they had to apply to the select board to get on the ballot, and the select board chose to have them petition to get on the ballot. So that's what they've done. They've received their signatures, and now the town can vote yes or no whether they want to allow any cannabis retail in there.
And that's come
Yeah.
up in a number of places in Franklin County, both pro and con. It's gone both ways, I guess.
Yes.
So again, that's of course something that a town select board can bring up themselves if they want.
Yes.
And in Highgate, that hadn't happened.
That had never happened
So
before.
this will be the first vote.
Yeah.
Have you got a feel for that vote?
I don't.
Yeah.
When the petition was going around for the signatures to be put on the ballot, many people were saying, even if you don't support it, you can't vote on it unless it's on the ballot.
Oh.
So some people have put their name on the petition, not necessarily being in favor of cannabis, but
Yeah.
being in favor of the ability to vote yes or no.
And letting people decide the issue.
Correct.
Interesting.
So it'll be interesting to see what happens there.
Yeah.
I think between medical cannabis and retail cannabis, I think people have different opinions. So we'll see what the town feels.
Yeah, and of course, Vermont it's been legalized for medicinal purposes for a number of
Yes.
years, and now officially legalized beyond that for the past few years. Back to this town meeting in general. I mean, again, I've been up here for a long time. I love town meeting day. Do you think it's faded? I ask this question every year, and again, you've talked about attendance, not real impressive. Do you think it's faded, or for people who town meeting day always meant something to do, they're probably the ones who show up? But do you think in general it's kind of faded, or is it still a pretty significant day, do you think?
I think that it's faded as we age out our population.
Yeah.
It was a big event when we had the school budget involved as the first portion of our day. We'd break for lunch, you know,
Yeah.
the fire department or someone would make lunch.
There'd be food there, yeah.
Yes, and then we'd go on to the town budget after.
Yeah.
I think that meant a lot more to people. I think when the school went to the Act 46 and merged and no longer became an issue that they could debate, I think a lot of people were disappointed and really felt, why bother
Yeah.
to go to town meeting?
Yeah. And then the school budget is just part of Missisquoi Valley School District, just a big
Correct.
overall budget of, I think, a little over $50 million for the district.
Yeah,
But that's a good point, yeah, the town meetings, of course, the school budget was a big issue in the morning, and then,
yes,
yeah, lunch, and then the town stuff afterwards, so that's changed.
yeah,
So that school budget, for the record, of course, just being voted on by Australian ballot.
yes. So, and that's, you know, people were always, and people still say when they come to pay their taxes, I don't mind paying more for the municipality because I see what that money does and where it goes.
Yeah.
It's the school budget, of course, that they feel they have no say over, and
And that, of course,
feel like
is
it's
the
not
biggest hunk of the
transparent.
tax bill, of course, of about
Yes.
two-thirds, three-quarters or so,
yeah,
typically.
3/4, yeah.
You hearing much, boy, all I'm hearing about school issues, and I've actually tried to get a couple supers. I'm not getting much of a response and getting any school-related shows, but it just sounds like the school situation is in a very tough situation. Everybody's heard probably about the potential property tax increases, but I think just it's just so complicated, convoluted when you can't really explain. I sure can't. Don't ask me to explain education funding in Vermont, but it just seems like this situation's gotten just kind of out of hand.
It has. I think it really is nerve-wracking for our district. We've gone up $13 million in 5 years.
Wow. And you're talking Missisquoi
yes.
now? Wow.
So that's basically Franklin, Highgate, Swanton Elementary, and Missisquoi Valley Union High School.
Is Sheldon LM in there? No,
Sheldon is not part of our district.
Maybe even lost track of that with the district changes.
And we're less students and just such a high bill.
Wow.
And it just, it feels like it's not transparent enough to people to have faith in it.
Yeah, no, that'll certainly be an issue, as it has been at times, but how school budgets fare on town meeting day, that would be getting a lot of attention. And I think I've made the point on other shows, I think any community, Swanton comes to mind with their big public safety facility, I think any community with a key local issue, and you've got some not to that extent, but I sure don't think that helps municipalities and local officials trying to get local projects approved with all the controversy and concern about the school budget situation.
Oh, yes.
Obvious point, probably.
And we hear that every day as well.
Is that right?
How can you think about even raising our municipal tax $1 when the state says we're going to have 20% increase for educational tax?
Wow.
And I get it. I understand that. I don't want my taxes to go up either.
Sure.
But we're trying to provide some long-term relief. So in doing that, hopefully we can make it better for our future.
Yeah, we'll be seeing what happens here. I just want to, hey, producer Josh. Hey, Josh. Just want to say, sorry to bump into our show. We're going to do an hour show in case that, right? We'll do an hour. Yeah, I hate to, we have plenty to talk about still. Sorry for that interruption. I guess let's get right to Highgate. So again, we mentioned have you got a feel for the issue on Australian ballots in the future? Any feel for that? Again, it's been tabled a few times, right?
I'm hoping that we can get past the tabling part.
Yeah, and make a
decision. Can we make an actual decision?
Yeah.
Yes. One way or another, I know a lot of people were upset that they couldn't vote on the wastewater and the senior housing on a ballot that they could have mailed to their home.
Yeah.
And one of the things we've tried to stress in the municipal office is if you want that to change, you need to come to the floor vote. And vote to go Australian ballot. Right.
Because, of course, you had the vote on the wastewater issue, which was a regular, just the people who showed up voted for it, and it was a very tight vote. You got approval, but a very close vote. Yeah. So it looks like kind of a couple of articles kind of related to the village core, the Cathedral Square, and then some money to move ahead with the wastewater system.
Yes. So from the floor, we'll be voting on whether to sell Cathedral Square, which is a nonprofit. Yeah. That'll do affordable senior housing.
About 30 units?
30 units, yep. So we are asking the voters if they would agree to sell 1 ± acres of the lot of the village core property to Cathedral Square for this project. Yeah. In the amount of $100,000. Right. But in order to make that feasible, it means that the town will have to vote yes to go forward with construction of the village wastewater system. Yeah. Cathedral Square will not come to Highgate without a municipal water and a municipal wastewater system.
And they really couldn't pull it off, or it'd be very difficult, even if they wanted to. Without municipal, it'd be pretty tough.
Right. They're not interested in having to do all that extra. But since the town was already heading in that direction, that what really sparked their interest was that we had already done all this work. And what we needed just was to go forward with the public's approval or blessing
Yeah,
so that we could get this done and then bring in this first senior housing and then hopefully a few commercial lots there as well.
yeah.
So,
So those are absolutely related. If Article 7 goes down and
Yes.
voters approve Article 8 for Cathedral Square, which I would think would be perhaps likely,
yeah,
that's dead unless Article 7 gets approval. I
exactly.
think most folks are aware, hopefully there's some awareness of that out there. I'm
Yes.
sure you've made that point, obviously, in the
We've been
select board.
Yes, we've
trying.
been trying to get as much information out as we can.
How'd you do with the public info meetings, which typically are not well attended? Did you get some folks?
We did have some folks.
Yeah.
Some folks were there to learn more about senior housing.
Yeah.
We had several people in the audience who had already signed up to go into this building that we haven't even sold the property for yet,
Right.
which is pretty exciting
Is that
because
right?
we
Boy,
do
so
have a,
already interest. I'm
Oh,
not
yes.
surprised to hear that.
yeah, we already have an inquiry list of about a dozen people.
Wow, really? Wow. Cathedral Square, of course, also has a presence in St. Albans City, looking for a bigger presence.
Yes,
Sounds like, then again, we've done a show earlier with one of their top folks, but sounds like it's they have a very, very good reputation with senior housing.
they do, and they're well maintained,
Yeah,
very secure, safe buildings.
yeah.
For our seniors, we think it's ideal.
I would guess are you hearing any opposition just to the Cathedral Square part of this? I wouldn't think there'd be much, but I'm sure there are always some folks opposed to anything, but
We've had a couple people that were questioning it,
yeah.
but we had called the town of South Hero, who had recently put in a building. And
Right,
I asked the question, since I wasn't quite familiar enough with what the tax credit situation meant as far as the town was concerned.
yeah,
So when I asked the town of South Hero, could you tell me what Cathedral Square pays South Hero for tax income?
yeah.
And it was over $47,000. So for us, that's $47,000 roughly
Yeah.
of increased tax income
Yeah,
that our residents don't have to pay.
right. And we're not talking a situation where these folks who are going to be living there are going to have kids going to school and stuff. That sounds
Exactly.
like an absolute non-issue on
Exactly.
that front.
So this is a way, we know expenses are not going to go down.
Yeah,
We know that our bills are going to continue to go up just because of inflation and because of the way the economy's going.
yeah,
So the only other way you can combat that is to bring in more tax income
yeah.
that outpaces your education requirements. So yeah, senior housing is perfect.
Yeah. So they weren't looking for any tax credits on property tax? They'll pay what they should be paying, or at least some of what?
They'll be paying some. It'll be roughly $11 million building.
Okay,
They'll pay tax probably on a $2 or $3 million building.
okay. Does that change over the years, or is that fixed for however long they're there?
It's normally fixed for a certain number of years.
Okay.
And they apply for grants from HUD and various other federal and state organizations so that they can subsidize the rents as well. So it'll be a mixed income. Some people will pay the full rent, some people will pay a portion of the rent,
Yeah.
some people may pay very little rent,
Yeah.
depending on how their income status is.
And again, you can't just keep that for Highgate residents,
Correct.
although presumably a number of folks, I'm sure, would be high, but you can't restrict it to.
Correct. We cannot restrict just to Highgate, and we've
Yeah.
had Highgate residents upset about that, but
Yeah,
because it's federal funding, it has to be open to all.
right. Interesting. And so again, if you get a positive vote on Article 7 and Article 8, is that enough for the Cathedral Square project to be basically a done deal and for it to definitely move ahead, or not that simple?
It's not quite that simple.
Okay.
We have an option to purchase right now with Cathedral Square based on a positive vote. Once that goes through, the town is obligated to come up with a cap through Brownsfield, which is a corrective action plan, because there was some contamination on that property, which was minimal.
Yeah.
So the town will have to abide by that. We also have to get the wastewater system to them and the water to them. And they'll have to receive funding as well.
Yeah.
So they've already made their first applications for funding in February. So they'll hear about those in the next month or so. And then they'll continue to apply for funding until they reach their goal. But they figure that the project is pretty much a go, as long as the town can get their obligations done.
Yeah. So again, Article 7, you're looking for another $200,000 to push ahead, basically, with the wastewater project?
Right, so the wastewater, right now, our estimates from our engineer are roughly $4 million to construct this wastewater project.
4 mil.
Yeah. We are asking the town, would you go for construction if we could get that $4 million down to $200,000? That's the burden of the town. $100,000 of that could come right from the purchase
Right.
of the property.
Yeah.
So you would automatically get it down to $100,000.
Yeah.
$100,000 for an investment of $47,000 worth of taxes wouldn't take very many years to pay that off and be a boon to the community.
Yeah. So again, you're hoping to get the local share of the $4 million estimated down to 200,000.
Correct.
Boy, is that have you made progress on that front at this point?
So yes, I mean, we have 1.457 million
Really?
that the state ARPA fund has already committed.
Okay.
The Clean Water State Revolving Fund has $2.550 million set aside for our construction project. Right now, we're not sure how much of that will be grant money. So what we're doing is we're applying both to USDA and the Northern Borders Regional Commission for additional fundings to cover any gaps that we might have in funding,
Yeah.
so that we're ready to go as soon as final design is done, as soon as we have a positive vote, so we can get these things all rolling forward.
So, I mean, it sounds like you're in pretty good shape for this.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, and the state has already told us that there are additional ARPA funds from the state that'll be available, because some of that money that had been set aside for towns and villages for wastewater projects,
Yeah.
they won't make the timeline, because that money has to be spent in a timely fashion. And those towns and villages won't make the deadline, so that money will come back into the pool to be redistributed. So,
Sounds like this is moving ahead pretty well. We'll see what the
Yes.
voters have to say.
yes.
What's your sense? You obviously have a pretty good feel for Highgate. Again, you had a very close vote when you got the initial approval, last summer, I guess?
Yeah, so that vote was for the purchase of
The land.
the
for
disposal field land, yes. I think some of the biggest issues at that time were we didn't have enough information out to
Yeah.
people.
this. Yeah.
During our information meeting last week, we brought 2 people in that were wastewater experts.
Yeah.
One of the engineers that we work with closely was on Zoom, and she was able to answer a lot of the neighbors' questions about what this meant for them. You know, would it interfere with their septic systems?
Yeah.
Why did we need this? How far away would it be away from their water? Was their water in danger?
Yeah.
So they wanted some assurances, and they're going to come again on the 26th and do some more monitoring wells, and recheck exactly where the groundwater flow is, and check the areas around each of the surrounding wells to make sure that we're far enough away from them to never cause them any trouble, so.
Right. And again, you mentioned municipal water. We're talking,
That's just to that village core property.
okay,
Yeah, the plan is to take water from the arena, which has a 60-gallon-a-minute well,
okay.
and take that water and pipe it to the village core property in order to have a small portion of
Okay.
municipal water.
Right, when you said municipal water, I'm going.
Yeah, no, not a big,
Right.
yeah, no, just,
But that's good water that you get
Yes.
at the arena?
yeah.
Interesting. Well, sure, I would think that the Cathedral Square hook to this would be helping you to try to get a positive
Yes.
vote, I would certainly think.
Yes.
Um,
We have a concern about building a library, but
I was just about to ask you about that.
yeah, but we're not asking the voters right now to make that decision.
Yeah,
We're only asking, would you go forward with this village wastewater? The anchor to that village core property would be Cathedral Square and those 30 units of housing.
yeah,
Do you trust us enough to go forward with this and see this project through?
yeah. So
You know.
again, it sounds like you're making clear if voters vote for this, you're not, the library community center will be a separate issue that may well
Yes.
come up later, but this doesn't hook you into
No.
that.
It doesn't hook us into anything else
Yeah.
but wastewater and senior housing.
Yeah,
And senior housing would definitely be our anchor for that property. It would definitely be our mainstay.
yeah. I know we've had earlier shows, there's certainly some folks would love, I think, a new community center.
Yes,
Bigger library is
yes.
much needed, but again, down the road a bit.
Right. For that, we'd need funding,
Yeah,
and it's a long process to get funding in place and getting everything in order to do something like that.
yeah,
So for right now, yeah, our main focus is just senior housing, village, wastewater.
yeah. Best case, timeframe wise, best case scenario for Cathedral Square, if you get positive votes at town meeting, when's the earliest that you might see construction for Cathedral Square?
It would depend upon the construction of the wastewater,
Yeah.
but I think Cathedral Square says 13 to 14 months
For construction?
for construction, so
Yeah.
they're hoping that by the end of 2026,
20, end of 20 for
that they'd
the,
be ready
is that,
to
be
move
ready?
in.
Yeah, to move in.
Yeah.
So construction late 25 or
Yeah.
something like that. Not that many years down the road, but
Right.
yeah,
Right. It's for me, it seems like it's gone really fast.
yeah,
Because this project for Cathedral Square just started in November.
right. And they came to you. I've asked you this before, Sharon. They came to you.
No,
No.
we went to them.
Sure, that's you went to
Yeah,
them.
we were looking for
Yeah.
partners,
Huh.
and we're very lucky to
Interesting.
meet with Cindy Reed, and she has been a absolute blessing.
Who we talked to on an earlier
Yes.
show. Well, so they were very receptive. So you came to them.
Yes.
That's right. And again, they've had a presence at least in St. Albans, so they certainly know Franklin County.
Yes.
Interesting. There certainly other articles, anything which I have in front of me here, anything out of the ordinary? We're talking obviously funding for capital improvement plan, highway fund, general fund. Let me ask you about the field days. I know and I guess it sounds like the field days folks have one more year that they're going to pull out
Yes.
apparently by the airport. And it really does sound like that's gonna be it.
Yes, well, that's what we're told. We'll see what
Yeah,
happens, but
so they've been looking for another site, and boy, we're talking just a lot of bucks to pull this off, and I guess they've asked the towns if the towns could give them some help, and Article 9, whether townspeople will approve funding $5,000 to assist with moving expenses for the field days.
yes, I know they've asked every town in Franklin County to.
Yeah,
And it's been an interesting conversation.
yeah,
Some think it's the cart before the horse because they haven't found a permanent location to
Right.
go.
yeah,
Some people are upset because they feel that $15 to enter into the field days is quite enough money, and where's the money go from the
really.
field days? And again, there's no accountability, so they don't feel. And then some people are just, hey, it's the field days. It's, it's our thing.
Yeah.
We want to support it.
Sounds like to me it may be one of those issues with your general fund of about $1.4 million, a little over $700,000 in property taxes. Something tells me that sails through, and the $5,000 for the field days might not, but that's just pure speculation on my part. But
sometimes, yeah.
that happens sometimes.
It's funny. Residents sometimes get hung up on little things. Last year, I think we debated mostly about a gazebo for 45 minutes, and nobody asked any questions about the general fund.
Yeah.
So it's funny how it goes.
It is funny. Boy, field days, that's tough though. I mean, with all the, buildings they put up over the years, that's just a real unfortunate situation.
Yeah, they are looking, hopefully, to find a spot that, they can be able to afford to move to and meet their requirements, and hopefully better parking and.
Yeah.
So.
And of course, they're basically being, having to get out of there because of the kind of airport expansion or what.
Yes.
And of course, that's another kind of Highgate tie-in there.
Yes.
With a lot, with hope for just some significant projects out there and jobs in the future.
Yes, I know that they're going through their Act 250 progress now.
Yeah.
And then the town hopes to have a bid out soon for the expansion of water and water and sewer to the airport. So.
And it looks like that should happen this year, 2024, or is that the hope?
Well, that's the hope. We've been held up for 6 months on minute details and
Really?
somewhat nitpicking a little bit on the federal end of things, but hopefully we can get this straightened out.
And again, this is an extension of water and sewer lines from MVU to the airport.
Correct, yes.
And Highgate voters did approve that.
Yes, they
earlier.
approved that, and they approved a bond of up to $500,000, which we haven't had to use yet, and hopefully won't have to use, but.
So ideally, you still, I know you got some outside funding, of course, for that.
Yes.
And still after more of that funding.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you're hearing, Jim, with other kind of regular articles before townspeople on March 5th, anything out of the ordinary with general fund, highway fund, capital improvement plan? That's $585,000 being asked for the capital improvement plan, mostly in taxes. Is that a bigger figure than usual, or is that?
It is. It's a bigger. Part of it was because we tried to do basically planning in order to replace our equipment. So the chiller and the dehumidifier in the arena had never been added into that plan. So those two things have been added to the recreation side. So that was an increase. We've also put in an increase for Class 3 roads, and we've put aside $50,000 specifically to go towards Class 3 roads. And what we're hoping is we can gain a larger sum of money to attack some of our Class 3 roads that have been in somewhat disrepair, and get those cleaned up and get them to a point where maybe we could pave some of those that really need to be paved and taken better care of. We've taken, the select board has chosen to put $100,000 of funds from the local ARPA that we had received from COVID
American Rescue Plan Act, yeah.
Yes, toward that capital improvement plan. And they've chosen to take $50,000 of that and put it toward our contract with Franklin County Sheriff's
I
Department.
was just about to ask you about that.
Yeah, so to help that, because
Of course, you lose, St. Albans City Police has been covering the town for, is this the second or third year? Second year
Yes,
anyway?
yeah.
And of course, that ends on June 30th.
correct. So
And again, and you do have I think you mentioned this before, you do have a contract with the Sheriff's Department for
Yes.
coverage starting July 1st.
yes, but we've actually increased our coverage with them. We used to do 26 hours a week. We're going to go to a 40-hour-a-week contract. We feel that there are things that we need to better address as far as policing and public safety. So we want to increase their contract. Hopefully we can help negotiate some of the drug issues and other things by being proactive.
Yeah.
So
So you're,
that was a big increase for
Yeah.
us.
Yeah.
So they're taking 50,000 out of the ARPA local funds and putting that toward that contract.
wow. But that's, sounds like a good move. I mean, again, City PD definitely, of course, they start covering St. Albans Town on July 1st, so.
Yes.
And I think you were initially pretty happy with the coverage, but if they run into staffing issues, have you not been getting as much coverage from the city as you did in the past? Or?
Correct. Yeah,
Yeah.
the city has very much fallen by the wayside
Really?
in the last year as far as their coverage for
Because
us.
I think initially you were pretty pleased with that coverage,
We
right?
were delighted to have
Interesting.
the St. Albans Police. They did a great
Yeah.
job for us, and it just, they may be tending to some things in
Yeah.
St. Albans Town
Yeah.
now that they want to get a handle on prior to taking over the contract. I'm not sure, but
So you're pleased to nail down the Sheriff's Department, it sounds like.
yes, I think that
But Troy, you didn't have a lot of options here.
we didn't have a lot of options, but we're hoping that no matter what happens with the Franklin County Sheriff's Department, we know that there are good people there,
Yeah.
that they're dedicated people, and we're hoping that our faith in them gives them some faith in our town and provides a good quid pro quo, so to speak, and that we can help each other.
That's right. I've been interviewing, again, candidates in contested races, including Swanton Select Board. It's a couple of contested races.
Yes.
And again, the big issue, one of the big issues in Swanton is a pretty significant increase in what they're going to be paying for police coverage from the Swanton Village PD.
Yeah.
And one of the candidates I talked to said, no, I'm opposing that. It's too much. I said, and if that goes down, what do you look at? He said, oh, state police. And I said,
You can't
boy,
do that.
I said, boy, good luck with that. But that's literally
Yeah.
what the response was. Oh, state police will take care of us, or maybe my words, but that seemed to be what he was saying. And I'm
Right.
saying, boy, good luck with that. I mean, they, of course, have significant staffing shortages. And, you see, I mean, state police do wander through Highgate, I assume. You see,
Oh, sure, sure.
obviously, in their travels.
Sure, and I've spoken to the
Yeah.
commandant before,
Yeah.
and he was pretty upfront. He said, we can't give you the coverage that you
Right.
want or need.
Right. So kind of,
Because
we'll do what we can do, but I'm sure it's not going to be anywhere near what you'd like
Right.
from us or something.
They'll respond if there's a
Yeah.
imminent danger, if there's a
Yeah.
gun involved. But if you're having an issue between 10 and 7 in the morning, you could wait an hour to 2 hours before you
Yeah.
have any police presence.
Yeah, I'm not trying to put down, to be clear, of VSP at all,
No.
but just an issue of, staffing, and it's, I think they've made it very clear. It's not like they're not being very clear about just their limited, what they
Yeah.
can do.
Yeah, no, God bless them.
Yeah.
They do a great job, with what they have.
Yeah.
They just don't have a lot.
Yeah, Bill Sheets, of course, a former, longtime, big-time Vermont State Police guy, said on earlier shows with us here that I think the last figure he mentioned was down like 60 or 70 troopers statewide. I mean, just, way down. And unfortunately, there are plenty of other businesses, police departments that can relate to that only too well.
Oh, yes.
How are you doing just staff-wise with the town of Highgate employees? Are you doing okay? Or
The only thing that we have an issue with at the moment is listers, which is also on our ballot.
That's on the ballot too.
Yeah, so normally we have part-time listers, 3 positions open,
Yeah.
but two of our longtime listers are retiring. So we don't have any listers, and we've had no interest in anyone becoming a lister.
Really, no interest?
No, so we've put it out to bid as an assessor contract. And if the voters will allow us to eliminate those positions and hire an assessor, then that'll be done off property basically, and we'll have a professional assessor.
Is Highgate in need of a reappraisal at this point, Sharon?
We are, according to our numbers, yes, unfortunately, we are due for a reassessment.
And it sounds like you have plenty of company. I'm a St. Albans City resident. St. Albans City, I guess, according to Mayor Tim Smith, has already kind of started the reappraisal process. But yeah, it sounds like there are a lot of municipalities in that position.
Yeah, it's amazing, the property values right now.
Yeah. Or just typically, whatever your tax appraised at, I guess for most folks, you could probably get seemingly a lot more than that if you sell your property.
Yes, so good for property sellers.
Yeah.
Might not be so good for the rest of us, but hopefully.
Population of Highgate, you keep increasing? Is that is on the way up, or
It is
a bit?
increasing, yes.
Yeah. I think Franklin County, I'm surprised I didn't know that there's as much local media as there used to be, but I think Franklin County finally hit the 50,000 mark in the last year or two. I was seemed like it was close to that. I think it probably finally made it, but and obviously a bunch of northwestern Vermont seems to be where most of the growth in Vermont is.
Yes, actually.
Yeah.
Which is good for us. I mean, we're getting better paying jobs. We're getting, it's a nice place to live.
Yeah.
There are a lot of options for recreation, for sport, for nature lovers, for skiers, for anything you want.
Yeah.
You should be able to find roughly in Franklin County.
Yeah, and talking about Highgate, of course, speaking of recreation, Lamoille Valley Rail Trail goes right through. Does that seem to get a lot of use, do you see?
That gets a lot of use.
Yeah.
I happen to live on the trail.
Oh, you're right on the trail.
Yeah, and it has really increased use. It's very nice to see.
Yeah, of course, it's hardly been the best snow winter, so.
No, I was thinking that this morning when I was walking the dog, that they haven't even had enough snow to
So you haven't seen
bring
really
out
any snowmobilers?
the groomer or anything. The snowmobilers, I think I've seen 2 all winter.
Really? Boy, that's, and for the record, in case they're, do some cross-country skiing and walking, certainly on the Missisquoi Valley Rail Trail and also LVRT. But again, the snowmobile, the VAST folks, Vermont Association of Snow Travelers, for people who don't know, they've been key folks with the rail trails, the Missisquoi Valley, Lamoille Valley, and the other ones, key people with that. So I'm sorry, hopefully late winter they'll fare a little better maybe, but just hasn't been kind of a down winter for.
Yeah,
So I'm glad all these ski resorts for the holiday weekend. I think they had a deserved, very good weekend. I hope they did.
Yeah. Yeah, it's Mother Nature's been pretty persnickety this year.
Yeah, Highgate Arena actually got in some skating a few weeks ago. Will there be skating on town meeting day? Seems like sometime.
There is, yes.
I think I'll better bring my skates to your town meeting. You know what the hours are in town meeting day, perchance?
I think it's 10 to 2.
10 to 2? Oh, great. That'd be nice.
But they have had a fabulous year for public skating.
Yeah, but I tell you, the one time I met, I'm used to skating at Collins Pearly, where they have a lot of public skating usually, and in the morning, sometimes I'm literally about the only person out there. The Highgate situation was a little different, but tons of people, tons of kids. It was.
Yeah.
And the snack bar is great. I love the snack bar.
Yeah, no, it really is an asset to the town.
Yeah.
I mean, people sometimes complain that, it was supposed to be self-sufficient, but we put a lot of money in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that keeps kids off the street. That keeps them out of drugs.
Yeah.
it really does help our community.
Yeah, you've got MVU playing there for hockey. Does Milton still?
We are Milton's home ice as
Really,
well for
Milton's
now.
home
Yes.
ice also.
Yeah. So,
Wow.
and the teams are doing well. I mean, the outpouring from the general public is amazing. I mean, the school parking lot and the rec department's parking lot are all full. People come out just to cheer on the teams, and it's nice.
Yeah, no, the arena, there were some real issues with the arena not too many years ago. Were they, whatever they were they resolved? Is the arena in pretty decent shape at this point?
It is. The arena's in good shape.
You've gotten a lot of years out of the arena.
Yeah, Jess Bombard is our new rec director.
Yeah.
She's doing a great job. A lot of programming for kids, adults, trying to get more involved with the community and get people the options they want to see in a recreation department.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and hopefully, if the final federal budget passes, we have an appropriation with Welch's office for $400,000 for a new roof for our arena.
Oh, really?
So if that passes, then we'll be able to put a new roof and hopefully a new entrance that's a little safer than what we have now for the kids. So
So that's the biggest need for the building at this point? But the ice surface itself is
ice
pretty
service
solid.
is fabulous.
Yeah.
The arena, as you say, has a fantastic snack bar.
Yeah, that's right.
People come from all over the state just
bet.
to, yeah. So, yeah, they're in very good shape.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you feel like Highgate's got a lot of things going for it. And again,
It
town meeting
does.
day is very important, certainly for the village core future.
Yeah, Highgate is amazing. You know, we are trying to do growth, but smart growth, stuff that helps our taxpayers, not necessarily harms them. We want to, take care of our kids, take care of our seniors, and make it that it's not too much of a burden for those in between.
Yeah. We're down to about 4 minutes, Sharon. Other issues I haven't talked about? Any other town meeting day related issues that are worth mentioning? Let me ask you while you think
Yes.
about that. The transfer station, is that's still with us? Does that still have any news of note with that? Is that here indefinitely, or are they?
The transfer station.
This is Casella, of course, that runs it. And it's the only one in Franklin County, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep. We still have the transfer station. At that same location is an actual capped landfill that Highgate is responsible for.
Yep, I remember the days when
Yep.
it was a landfill.
Right now, the lease with Casella, I think, is up in 2025. So they will be coming to the select board on the 21st of March to offer some options for the select board for the future.
Do they want to hang in there as far as you know? Or?
Sounds like they want to hang in there
Yeah.
once they want to do another 25-year lease.
Yeah, really.
For us, we'll have a $2 million project for bank stabilization there this summer.
Boy, is that right? $2 million.
Yes,
Wow.
and then we have another
Wow.
spot that happened this summer. That's another $1 million repair.
Really? Wow.
So for us, it's expensive to keep that open. So we'll have to see what kind of compromise we can all come to.
And part of that area you're talking about is right by the transfer station.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's a big price tag.
It is. It's a very big price tag. And
I think most folks, you see the transfer station as an asset for Highgate?
yes, it has been an asset for Highgate. I mean, we have a contract. Right now, we get so much for tipping fees, but
Yeah.
it roughly comes to $60,000 to $70,000 a year that's added to the revenue of the town.
Interesting. That's certainly not insignificant.
Right.
The converter station, is there some work going on at the converter station too, or?
Yes, Velco is in a large update. They do an update every 20 to 25 years. So they're getting a jump on the future by updating lines
Right.
and some electrical equipment and some computer equipment at the conversion station, and making sure that they can keep up with upcoming demand.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And of course, Swanton Village immersed, village officials have all kinds of issues these days. Of course, you're still involved in the relicensing of
Yes.
the Highgate Dam, Ormond Croft generating facility.
Yes.
We're talking about a long, long process.
Right. It seems silly
Really
sometimes.
long,
Yeah.
And again, Highgate obviously benefits. You get some, obviously, bucks for
Yes.
Swanton for that.
Highgate gets a large chunk of money from that.
So I remember that being, I'm going back years when I think there was a dispute over how much Highgate should get. Obviously, you nailed that down. Does that get renegotiated once in a while, or is that whatever you get, is that whatever you get for forever, or?
It fluctuates
I-
depending on use.
No, so depending on use.
Yes.
So I guess that
So
would probably
it's-
make sense.
Yeah, so
Interesting.
the last couple of years, we've actually gained quite a lot from that
Oh, really?
as far as revenue.
Interesting. Well, on that positive note, that's going to do it. But again, good luck. Hope you got a decent turnout. Look forward to your town
Cross our
meeting.
fingers.
But thanks to Sharon Bousquet, the Highgate Town Administrator. And again, town meeting day in Highgate and other towns coming up on Tuesday, March 5th, not far away. Thanks to Paul Snyder for getting us going, and for Josh Pryor, our producer. Thanks for watching us here on Northwest Access TV. We appreciate it. I'm Richard Cowperthwait. See you next time.